Narayana Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiri Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Nashtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, Chapter 1, the latter pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, text 126 onwards. Sabe mili yuktikari kirtanarambhila, kirtanaveshe prabhu manastirhaila. After due consideration, all the devotees began chanting the holy name congregationally. Lord Chaitanya's mind was thus pacified by the ecstasy of chanting. So, this is when Mahaprabhu left Alhalnath, because he heard devotees from Bengal have arrived to attend Rath Yatra. So he went there to meet them, went to Jagannath Puri to meet them. But still he was missing Lord Jagannath. And so his lamentation, the previous verses says, his lamentation knew no bounds. So the devotees started chanting. Being absolute in all circumstances, Lord Jagannath's person, form, picture, and kirtan are all identical. Therefore, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, he was pacified. Previously, he had been feeling very morose due to separation from Jagannath. The conclusion is that whenever a kirtan of pure devotees take place, the Lord is immediately present. By chanting the holy names of the Lord, we associate with the Lord personally. And chanting means not only kirtan, japa also, chanting. So the idea is we should associate, we should understand we are associating with Krishna, Radharani and Krishna when we are chanting. In fact, it said they are dancing on our tongues when they hear our chanting. But we are not so pure, so we don't see them. But we should. This is what we have to keep on trying, keep on trying. Purve yabe Prabhu Ram Anandera me Lila, Nila chale ashibare tare agya dila. Previously, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had been touring South India, he had met Ramanand Rai on the banks of the Godavari. At that time, it had been decided that Ramanand Rai would resign from his post as governor and return to Jagannath Puri to live with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Raja agya layate ho aila kat dine ratri dine Krishna katha Ramananda sahane. Upon the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Ramanand Rai took leave of the king and returned to Jagannath Puri. After he arrived, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very much enjoyed talking with him, both day and night, about Lord Krishna and his pastimes. So he was the governor of Madras. But after he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in South India, so he decided to resign from his post. But when he came to Jagannath Puri, and since he was very dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Maharaj Prataprudra, who was the king of Odisha, not of Madras, he decided to give Ramanand Rai the full salary as his pension, so that he could spend time, remain there in Jagannath Puri, spend time with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this way Maharaj Prataprudra also got so much of mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kashi Mishra Kripa Pradyumna Mishra Adi Milan Paramananda Puri Govind Kashishwara Agaman. After Ramanand Rai's arrival, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy upon Kashi Mishra and met Pradyumna Mishra and other devotees. At that time, three personalities, Parmananpuri, Govinda, and Kashishwara, came to Lord Chaitanya at Jagannath Puri. दामोदर स्वरूप मिलने परमानंदा सिखी महिति मिलन राय भवनंदा. Eventually there was a meeting with Swarup Damodar Goswami and the Lord became very greatly pleased. Then there was a meeting with Shikhi Mahiti and with Bhavanand Rai, the father of Ramanand Rai. Goda haite sarva Vaishnava ragmana kulina gramavasi sange pratham milan. All the devotees from Bengal gradually began arriving at Jagannath Puri. At this time, the residents of Kulin Gram also came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the first time. Narahari Dasa Adi Yat Khandavasi Shivananda Sena Sange Milila Savayasi. Eventually, Narahari Das and other inhabitants of Khanda, along with Shivananda Sen, all arrived and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met them. स्नान यात्रा देखी प्रभु संगे भक्त गान सबा लया कैला प्रभु गुंडीचा मार्जन. After seeing the bathing ceremony of Lord Jagannath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu washed and cleaned Sri Gundicha temple with the assistance of many devotees. So this all will be explained in detail later on. Sabbe sange rath jatra kaila darshan rath agre nitya kari udyane gaman. After this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the devotees saw the Rath Yatra, the car festival ceremony. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself danced in front of the car, and after dancing, he entered a garden. Pratapa Rudrere Kripa Kaila Seisthane Gaudiya Bhakti Agya Dila Vidaye Ravine. In that garden, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy upon King Prataparudra. Afterwards, when the Bengali devotees were about to return home, Lord gave separate orders to almost every one of them. Pratyabda Ashive Ratha Yatra Darshane Ei Chale Chahe Bhakta Ganera Milane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desired to meet all the devotees of Bengal every year. Therefore, he ordered them to come to see the Rath Yatra festival every year. Sarvabhauma Ghare Prabhu Bhiksha Pare Pati Shathira Mata Kahe Yate Randi Hauka Shati. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was invited to dine at the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. While he was eating sumptuously, the son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the husband of his daughter Shati, criticized him. His name was Amogha and he was very, very envious person. Because of this, Shati's mother cursed him by praying that Shati would become a widow. In other words, she cursed her son-in-law to die because he was passing comments on, or he was criticizing Mahaprabhu's eating. Varshantare Advaitadi Bhaktera Agaman Prabhure Dekite Sabe Karila Gaman. At the end of the year, all the devotees from Bengal, headed by Advaita Acharya, again came to see the Lord. Indeed, there was a great rush of devotees to Jagannath Puri. Anande Sabareniya Dena Vasisthana Shivananda Sena Kare Sabare Palana. When all the devotees from Bengal arrived, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu allotted them residential quarters and Shivananda Sen was put in charge of their maintenance. Shivanandera Shange Aila Kukura Bhagyavana Prabhu Charan Deki Kaila Antardhana. A dog accompanied Shivananda Sen and the devotees, and that dog was so fortunate that after seeing the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it was liberated and went back home, back to God. Pathe Sarvabhauma Saha Sabara Milana Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya Kashite Gamana. Everyone met Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya on his way to Varanasi. Prabhure Milila Sarva Vaishnava Asiya Jala Krida Kaila Prabhu Sabare Laiya. After arriving at Jagannath Puri, all the Vaishnavas met with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Later, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sported in the water, taking all the devotees with him. Savalaya Kaila Gundicha Griha Samarjana Ratha Jatra Darashane Prabhura Nartana. First, the Lord washed the temple of Gundicha very thoroughly. Then everyone saw the Rath Yatra festival and the Lord's dancing before the car. Upavane Kaila Prabhu Vividha Vilasa Prabhura Abhishek Kaila Vipra Krishna Dasa. In the garden along the road from Jagannath temple to Gundicha, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed various pastimes. A Brahmin named Krishnadas performed the bathing ceremony of Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gundichate Nityante Kaila Jala Keli, Hera Pancha Mite Dekila, Lakshmi Devi Rakeli. After dancing in the Gundicha temple, the Lord sported in the water with his devotees. And on Hera Panchami Day, they all saw the activities of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi. Krishna Janma Yatra Te Prabhu Gopavesha Haila Dadi Bhar Vahi Tave Lagura Firaila. On Janmashtami, Lord Krishna's birthday, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dressed himself as a cowherd boy. At that time, he carried a balance between parts of yogurt and wheeled a rod about. So he was playing the part of a gopa. Godera bhakta gane tabe karila vidai, sangera bhakta laya kare kirtan sadai. After this, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to all the devotees from Gaudadesh, Bengal, and continued chanting with his intimate devotees who constantly remained with him. Vrindavan Jaite Kaila Gode Ragamana Pratapa Rudra Kaila Pathe Vivid Seva. To visit Vrindavan, the Lord went to Gaudadesh, Bengal. On the way, King Pratap Rudra performed a variety of services to please the Lord. Puri Gosai Sange Vasra Pradana Prasanga Ramananda Rai Aila Bhadraka Paryanta. On the way to Vrindavan via Bengal, there was an incident wherein some cloth was exchanged with Puri Gosai. Shri Ramananda Rai accompanied the Lord as far as the city of Bhadrak. Asi Vidya Vachaspatir Grihite Rahila Prabhu Re Dekhite Log Sanghata Haila. When Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached Vidyanagar, Bengal, on the way to Vrindavan, he stopped at the house of Vidya Vachaspati, who was a brother of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly arrived at his house, great crowds of people gathered. So this is another wonderful incident. We'll read about it in detail later. Panchadina dekhe lok nahi kavishram, lok bhai ratre prabhu aila kulyagram. For 5 consecutive days, all the people gathered to see the Lord, and still there was no rest. Out of fear of the crowd, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left at night and went to the town of Kulia, or present-day Navadvip. So Prabhupada explained it earlier also, he is again explaining. If one considers the statements of the Chaitanya Bhagavat, along with the description by Lochandas Thakur, it is clear that present-day Navadvip was formerly known as Kulyagram. While at Kulyagram, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his favor upon Devanand Pandit and delivered Gopal Chapal and many others who had previously committed offenses at his lotus feet. So Gopal Chapal, we know he committed offense against Srinivas Thakur by placing the paraphernalia for Devi Puja at his doorstep. And Mahaprabhu was so angry with him. Srinivas Thakur didn't mind it, but Mahaprabhu was angry. And similarly, Devanand Pandit, he also committed, unknowingly, he committed an offense against Srinivas Thakur. and many others who committed offense. At that time, to go from Vidyanagar to Kuliagram, one had to cross a branch of the Ganges. All of those old places still exist. Chirnadanga was formerly situated in Kuliagram, which is now known as Kolerganja. Kuliagrame te Prabhu Shuni Agaman, Koti Koti Loko Asi Kaila Darshan. Hearing of the Lord's arrival in Kuliagram, many hundreds of thousands of people came to see him. Kuliagrame Kaila Devanandir Prashad, Gopalave Prere Shamaila, Shrivasapara. The specific acts performed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at this time were his showing favor to Devanand Pandit and excusing the Brahman known as Gopal Chapa from the offense he had committed at the lotus feet of Srivas Thakur. Pashandi Nindakashi Padila Charane Aparadha Shami Tare Dila Krishna Prem. Many atheists and blasphemers came and fell at the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord in return excused them and gave them love of Krishna. See, this was his program anyway to when he came to earth in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Uh, he wanted to give them love of Krishna, give everybody love of Krishna. But when he was not a sannyasi, and his students had committed offense against him, then he was afraid. If they keep on committing offenses, how they can achieve love for Krishna? So that is why he took sannyas. Well, that is one of the reasons he took sannyas. So now see all the atheists and blasphemers, they're coming and falling at his lotus feet and asking for forgiveness. And in return, he's getting, they all are getting love for Krishna. Vrindavan Yabin Prabhu Shuni Narsimananda Patha Sajaila Mane Payananda. When Shri Nrsimhanand Brahmachari heard that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to Vrindavan, he became very pleased and mentally began decorating the way there. Kuliya Nagare Haite Patha Ratne Bandhaila Nivrinita Pushpa Shaya Upare Patila. First, Nrsimhanand Brahmachari contemplated a broad road starting from the city of Kulia. He bedecked the road with jewels, upon which he then laid a bed of stemless flowers. So stemless flowers. So because the jewels are very hard, so he didn't want Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walking barefoot on the jewels. So he, in his meditation only, he is doing all this. He's laying a bed of stemless flowers, not even stem, only the petals, so that they're very, very soft for Mahaprabhu to walk upon. Pathe dui dike pushpa bakulera shreni, madhya dui pashe divya pushkarini. He mentally decorated both sides of the road with bakul flower trees, and at intervals on both sides, he placed lakes of a transcendental nature. Divya Pushkarini. So bakul flower trees on both sides, so that sunlight would not disturb Mahaprabhu. And then he put lakes, so in case Mahaprabhu wants to bathe. All he's meditating, he's contemplating, but he's very, very fixed up in his meditation. So lakes, if Mahaprabhu wants to bathe over there. Ratna Banda Ghatata He Prafula Kamala Nana Pakshi Kola Hala Sudha Samajala. These lakes had bathing places constructed with jewels, and they were filled with blossoming lotus flowers. There were various birds chirping, and the water was exactly like nectar. Shitala Samira Vahe Nana Gandalaya Kanaira Natashala Parayanta Laila Bandhiya. The entire road was surcharged with many cool breezes, which carried the fragrances from various flowers. He carried the construction of this road as far as Kanai Natshala. The Kanai Natshala is about 200 miles from Calcutta on the loop line of the Eastern Railway. The railway station is named Talajhadi. And after one gets off at that station, he has to go about 2 miles to find Kanai Natshala. आगे माना ना ही चले ना पारे बांधी थे पथ बांध्या na jaye Narasimha Haila Vismite. Within the mind of Narasimhanand Brahmachari, the road could not be constructed beyond Kanai Natshala. He could not understand why the road's construction could not be completed, and thus he was astonished. निश्चय करिया कहे सुन भक्त गाना एबार न जावेन प्रभु Shri Vrindavana. With great assurance, he then told the devotees that Lord Chaitanya would not go to Vrindavan at that time. Means he'll only go as far as Kanai Natshala, then come back. Srila Narasimhanand Brahmachari was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, when he heard that from Kulia Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to Vrindavan, although he had no material wealth, he began to construct within his mind a very attractive path or road for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to traverse. Some of the description of this path is given up. But even mentally, he could not construct the road beyond Kanai Natshala. Therefore, he concluded that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not go to Vrindavan at that time. So even if one is not capable of doing any service physically, he can render the service mentally, and Krishna accepts it. And in mental service, we have no limitation. We can do as much service, as elaborate, as opulent as we want to. For a pure devotee, it's the same whether he materially constructs a path or constructs one within his mind. This is because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardhan, is bhavagrahi, or appreciative of the sentiment. For him, a path made with actual jewels and path made with mental jewels are all the same. Though subtle, mind is also matter. So any path, indeed, and anything for the service of the Lord, whether in gross matter or in subtle matter, is accepted equally by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord accepts the attitude of his devotee and sees how much he is prepared to serve him. The devotee is at liberty to serve the Lord either in gross matter or in subtle matter. The important point is that the service be in relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:26. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yom me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti upaharitam ashnami prayata. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. The real ingredient is bhakti. Pure devotion is uncontaminated by the modes of material nature. Ahatukiya pratihata. Unconditional devotion service cannot be checked by any material condition. This means that one does not have to be very rich to serve the Supreme Personality of God. Even the poorest man can equally serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead if he has pure devotion. If there is no ulterior motive, devotion service cannot be checked by any material condition. So Krishna is happy with only patram pushpam phalam toyam, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water. And he doesn't even say you have to get the leaf, flower, fruit from your own garden. You just get it from somewhere. Just offer it with love and devotion. Even water. He doesn't say, give me mineral water only. Just tap water. But when we offer it with love and devotion, they all become pure and Krishna accepts it. And here, Narasimhanand Brahmachari, he is constructing the road within his mind. And Mahaprabhu accepted it. I mean, who can be more merciful than this? The problem is people don't know how to please the Lord. Even if one wants to please him, so that his material desires are fulfilled. It's just people don't know how to please. And general public is just running around from this temple to that temple, from this Baba to that Baba, this Mazar to that Mazar. They don't know how to please the Lord. It's so simple. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Simple as that. Nothing elaborate. And if one wants to do elaborate worship and he doesn't have means, just do it in the mind, but do it. कानाइरा नाट्यशाला है ते आशी बफिरिया जानी बेपश्चात कहलो निश्चय करिया. Narasimhanan Brahmachari said, the Lord will go to Kanai Natshala and then will return. All of you will come to know of this later. But I now say this with great assurance. Gosai Kuliya Haite Chalila Vrindavana Sange Sahasrek Lok Jat Bhaktagan. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to proceed from Kulia towards Vrindavan, thousands of men were with him, and all of them were devotees. Yaha yae Prabhu taha koti shankhe loka, dekhi te aishe leki khande dukh shoka. Wherever the Lord visited, crowds of innumerable people came to see him. When they saw him, all their unhappiness and lamentation disappeared. जहाँ जहाँ प्रभु चरण पड़ाय चली ते से मृतिका लया लोका गर्त है पहते. Wherever the Lord touched the ground with his lotus feet, people immediately came and gathered the dirt. Indeed, they gathered so much that many holes were created in the road. Aiche chali aila Prabhu Rama keli gram, gode rani kat gram, ati anupam. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eventually arrived at a village named Ramkeli. This village is situated on the border of Bengal and is very exquisite. Ramakeli Gram is situated on the banks of the Ganges, on the banks of the Ganga, on the border of Bengal. Srila Rup and Sanatan Goswamis had their residences in this village. And not just the residences, they had constructed gardens to remind them of Vrindavan. They had constructed little hill, they called it Govardhan. So huge houses they had in this place. Taha nitya kare Prabhu preme achetana koti koti loka aishe dekite charan. After performing Sankirtan in Ramkeli Gram, the Lord danced and sometimes lost consciousness due to love of God. While at Ramkeli Gram, an unlimited number of people came to see his lotus feet. Godeshwara Javana Raja Prabhava Shuniya Kahite Lagila Kichu Vismita Haiya. When the Muslim king of Bengal heard of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's influence in attracting innumerable people, he became very much astonished and began to speak as follows. So at that time, the Muslim king of Bengal was Nawab Hussain Shah Badshah. So he was surprised. Who is this? Vina dane et loka yare pache haya. Saita gosaya iha janiya nishaya. Such a person who's followed by so many people without giving them charity must be a prophet. I can surely understand this fact. Kaji javan ihar na kari hinsana, apana ichhaye bolo, yaha ohar mana. The Muslim king ordered the magistrate, Qazi, do not disturb this Hindu prophet out of jealousy. Let him do his own will wherever he likes. Even a Muslim king could understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's transcendental position as a prophet. Therefore, he ordered the local magistrate not to disturb him, but to let him do whatever he liked. Keshav Chhatrite Raja Varta Puchila Prabhur Mahima Chhatri Udaya Dila. When the Muslim king asked his assistant Keshav Chhatri for news of the influence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Keshav Chhatri, although knowing everything about Chaitanya, tried to avoid the conversation by not giving any importance to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities. So why? Explain later. Keshav Chhatri became a diplomat when questioned about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although he knew everything about him, he was afraid that the Muslim king might become his enemy, might become Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's enemy. He gave no importance to the Lord's activities so that the Muslim king would take him to be an ordinary man and would not give him any trouble. Because Mahaprabhu also said, Prabhupada said it one of the days, you cannot trust the meat eaters. Their mind will change just like that. So this is what Keshav Chhatri was thinking. If this Nawab Hussain Shah might change his mind, might start giving trouble to Mahaprabhu. And he said, Bhikari Shanyashi Kare Tirtha Paryatana Tare Dekhi Bare Aishe Dui Chari Chan. Keshav Chhatri informed the Muslim king that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a mendicant touring different places of pilgrimage, and that as such only a few people came to see. Dui Chari, do char ho gaya. Only 2 4 people, few people. Javane tomar thai kare lagani, tara hinsai lavanahi, ayarahani. Keshav Chhatri said, out of jealousy, your Muslim servant plots against him. I think that you should not be very interested in them, for there is no profit in it. Rather, there is simply loss. Raja re prabodhi kesha brahmana pathaya, chali bar tare prabhu pathaila kahiya. After pacifying the king in this way, Keshav Chhatri sent a Brahman messenger to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, requesting him to leave without delay. And because this king cannot rely on this king, just leave. Dabir Khasher Raja Puchila Nibhete Goshaira Mahima Tehom Lagila Kahite. In private, the king inquired from Dabir Khash of Srila Rupa Goswami, who later became Rupa, who began to speak about the glories of the Lord. Actually, Mahaprabhu came to this place, Ramkeli, just to meet Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and Anupam Goswami. Otherwise, he had no word there. Je tomare rajya dil, ye tomar gosaya, tomar deshe tomar bhagya janmila siya. Srila Rupa Goswami said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead who gave you this kingdom and whom you accept as a prophet has taken birth in your country due to your good fortune. Tomara mangal vanche karya siddhi haya, ihara ashirvade tomar sarvatra jaya. This prophet always desires your good fortune. By his grace, all your business is successful. By his blessings, you will attain victory everywhere. More kena pocha tumi, pocha apna mana. Tumi naradhipa hao Vishnu anshasam. Why are you questioning me? Better that you question your own mind. Because you're the king of the people. You're the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, you can understand this better than I. So this is how Rupa Goswami, even Sanatana Goswami also respected Nawab Hussain Shah because he was a king, not to do some kind of buttering, but they really meant it. Then you are the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A king is represented. Whether he acts in that manner or not, that's up to him. But because he is in that position, he should be respected as represented, not as Supreme Lord, but as a representative of the Supreme Lord. And the king actually should not behave that he should behave like I'm a servant of everybody. Tomar chitte chaitanya keche hai jnana. Tomar chitte le saita praman. The Srila Rupa Goswami informed the king about his mind as a way of knowing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He assured the king that whatever occurred in his mind could be considered evidence. Raja kehe shun mor mane jai laya, sakshat ishwar iha nahika sanchaya. The king replied, I consider Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no doubt about it. So even these words, I consider Mahaprabhu as Supreme Lord, this just proves every Jeev is servant of God. We can forget him for time being or for some time, but ultimately this is the realization of everybody. Ete kahi raja gela nija abhyantare, tabe dabir khaha saila apnar ghare. After having this conversation with Rupa Goswami, the king entered his private house. Rupa Goswami, then known as Dabir Khas, also returned to his residence. A monarch is certainly a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Loka Maheshwara. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is a proprietor of all planetary systems. In each and every planet, there must be some king, governmental head, or executive. Such a person is supposed to be the representative of Lord Vishnu. On behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he must see to the interests of all the people. Therefore, Lord Vishnu as Paramatma gives the king all intelligence to execute governmental affairs. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore asked the king what was in his mind concerning Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and indicated that whatever the king thought about him was correct. घरे आसी दुई भाई युकति करिया प्रभु देखी बारे चले वेश लुकाइया. After returning to his residence, David Khas and his brother decided after much consideration to go see the Lord incognito. अर्धरात्रे दुई भाई अइला प्रभु स्थाने प्रथमे में लीला नित्यानंद हरिदासाने. Thus, in the dead of night, the two brothers, David Khas and Sakar Malik, the Sakar Malik later became Sanatan Goswami, went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu incognito, meaning they had covered themselves. First, they met Nityanand Prabhu and Haridas Thakur. So, first we need mercy of Nityanand Prabhu before we can meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. तारदुई जन जनैला प्रभु रघुचारे रूप शकर मले कैला तो देखी बारे. Shri Nityanand Prabhu and Haridas Thakur told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that two personalities, Shri Rupa and Sanatan, had come to see him. Sakar Malik was the name of Sanatan Goswami and Babir Khas was the name of Rupa Goswami. They were recognized by these names in the service of the Muslim king. Therefore, these are Muslim names. As officials, the brothers adopted all kinds of Muslim customs. Dui gucha trina duhe dashan indhariya, gale vastra bandhi pade dandavat haya. In great humility, both brothers took bunches of straw between their teeth and each binding a cloth around his neck, fell down like rods before the Lord. Danya rodan kare anande vivala, Prabhu kahe ut haila mangala. Upon seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the two brothers were overwhelmed with joy, and out of humility they began to cry. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked them to get up and assured them of all good fortune. Uthi dui bhai tabe dante trinadhari, Danya kari stuti kare karayoda kari. The two brothers got up and again taking straw between their teeth, they humbly offered their prayers with folded hands. Jaya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Daya Maya Patita Pavana Jaya Jaya Mahashaya. All glories to Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most merciful savior of the fallen souls. All glories to the Supreme Personality. नीच जाति, नीच संगी, करी नीच काज, तुम्हारा agrete Prabhu, kahite vasilaaj. So what they are saying, that so humble, they were so such great scholars, but they were so humble. They said, "Sir, we belong to the lowest class of men, and our associates and employment are also of the lowest type. Therefore, we cannot introduce ourselves to you. We feel very much ashamed standing here before you." Although the two brothers, Rup and Sanatan, at that time Daver Khas and Sakar Malik, presented themselves as being born in a low family, they nonetheless belonged to a most respectable Brahmin family that was originally from Karnataka. Thus, they actually belonged to the Brahmin caste. Unfortunately, because of their being associated with the Muslim governmental service, their customs and behavior resembled those of the Muslims. Therefore, they presented themselves as Neech Jati. The word Jati means birth. According to Shastra, there are three kinds of birth. The first birth is from the womb of the mother. The second birth is the acceptance of the reformatory method, means when we get sanskar. And the third birth is accepted by the spiritual acceptance by the spiritual master or initiation. One becomes abominable by adopting an abominable profession or by associating with people who are naturally abominable. Rup and Sanatan as Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik associated with Muslims who were naturally opposed to Brahminical culture and cow protection. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that every person belongs to a certain classification. A person is identifiable by specific symptoms mentioned in the Shastras. By one's symptoms, one is known to belong to a certain caste. By one's symptoms, guna karma, not by birth. Both Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik belonged to the Brahmin caste, but because they were employed by Muslims, their original habits degenerated into those of the Muslim community. Since the symptoms of Brahminical culture were almost nil, they identified themselves with the lowest caste. In Bhakti Ratnakar, it is clearly stated that because Sakar Malik and Dabir Khas associated with lower class men, they introduced themselves as belonging to the lower classes. Actually, however, they had been born in respectable Brahmin families. So much of humility, and this humility is what attracted the mercy of Chaitanya. Humility and devotion they had. So anyway, we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, we'll stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.